This is AWS Bootcamps. Today we're going to be going over the AWS Innovation Bootcamps. So let's begin. I'm going to share my screen and we can start. As I said, today we're going to be doing innovation. Let's begin. First, we'll start off by discussing design thinking. Design thinking is a method that is mainly used for the purpose of comprehending or understanding people, questions, problems, and solutions. The reason design thinking is used is to turn ideas into physical and evaluatable products as soon as possible. And there are 3 steps to the design thinking framework, which we will discuss in this presentation: immersion, ideation, and implementation. So here are the 5 stages of the design thinking process, and it's important to note that the 5 stages are not always followed in a specific order, and in fact they oftentimes occur at the same time as well as repeat numerous times. So let's begin with the first step, empathize. This is where one discovers their target audience and they learn more about the audience, such as the problems and necessities. Next, define. This is where the problem statement is determined and there is a focus put on the user's needs. Furthermore, problem statement is used as a guiding tool. Next, ideate. This is where you collaborate with others with different areas of expertise, and in this case, you want to actually prioritize quantity over quality. Next, prototype. The goal is to create a product that can be evaluated and critiqued, and that is your prototype. And lastly, test. Users will provide feedback that will help determine if your solution that you have implemented is viable, and the benefit of doing this step is that it can help save money in the long term. Next, let's discuss the Cloud Innovation Center. The Cloud Innovation Center, or CIC, creates a chance for nonprofit institutions, education services, and government departments to work with public sector companies. They can help collaborate on issues of high importance. They can also help test issues using Amazon's innovation process. The Cloud Innovation Center harnesses the technology of AWS and allows for any nonprofit institutions, education services, or government departments to register to work on an assignment. So what is a culture of innovation? Amazon aims to be the world's most customer-centric organization. How do they do this? They do this to 4 main customer sets: consumers, sellers, enterprises, and content creators. So here, the following are the characteristics of the innovative culture. First, hire builders. Hire builders with different backgrounds and then points of view in order to make decisions so you get a wide variety of expertise. Next, fail fast. Try all possibilities that are open to you and be accepting and willing to fail. Working backwards. It's constantly driving customer-centric ingenious thinking, and it's used to make sure that the product is actually what the customer needs. So you work from the customer to get to the product. Next, 2 pizza teams. Hire efficient workers in order to minimize communication and unnecessary meetings. The reason that it is called 2 pizza teams is because a good innovation team should require no more than actually 2 pizzas to feed them, as they are a small yet efficient team. So the following is the formula for innovation. Innovation is equal to culture plus people plus tools and mechanisms. The following is also a video regarding the design thinking process, which will also be linked below as always. Next, the 5 W's of innovation at Amazon. So, first, what is innovation? Innovation is the successful integration of new thoughts into society. You may ask, where does innovation take place? Everywhere. It can range from inventing something to improving it. Next, who innovates? Everyone. Innovation is the way one goes about their work. And when does one innovate? Every day. It occurs because of ongoing events and unexpected circumstances. Lastly, why innovate? Because everything depends on it. Innovation creates new opportunities to serve a wide market of consumers. Next, the models of innovation. There are numerous models of innovation that each have their separate pros and cons. However, a way to categorize these is by separating them across a continuum of both continuous and discontinuous models. So, a little bit about continuous models is that they're described as incremental, evolutionary, and reactive innovation. As you can see on the right with the diagram, it's a straight linear line. They're more linear type changes for a constant increase over time. However, discontinuous innovation is innovation that is disruptive, revolutionary, and transformative. It's not linear. Instead, it's abrupt changes as shown by the bar graph. Next, the innovation process. This is the most common process to uphold innovation, and that it's called working backwards. It depends on working deliberately according to the goal and shared thoughts, and it relies on constantly injecting innovation into independent and teamwork. This requires working backwards from the customer, as mentioned earlier. This means you have to constantly come back to the customer's ideas for solving any problems. And the work has to be repetitive, continually reevaluating the problem that is at hand. Next, working intentionally. Working intentionally is where innovation is both intentful and determined. This works by siphoning AWS's customer obsession into solving a certain conflict that may arise. Organizations work specifically to make sure that their business decisions are orderly managed, as well as the fact that teams must work purposefully together. Individual workers should try to take the lead and ownership of their own efforts in order to optimize innovation. So the starting place for working intentionally are the vision and the mental models. So what is the vision? The vision is an idea of how certain things could be, contrasting to how they are currently. And oftentimes the vision will contradict conventional wisdom. It is important to be rigid on the vision, however relaxed on the specifics. Next, the mental models. These are the basic ideas that act as the base for generating other ideas. You raise ideas from the ground and then provide them with superior direction. It is formed as a statement of cause and effect, and the mental models eventually help to create even more ideas. Next, working backwards. Working backwards is made up of the 5 customer questions. The following are the 5. Who is the customer? What is the customer's problem or opportunity? What is the most important customer benefit? How do you know what the customers want or need? And what does the customer experience look like? All of these questions have a similar objective: to maintain the customer's importance as well as keep them involved throughout the innovation process. That's why it's called working backwards from the customer. The following is a video about the innovation process that will also be linked below. Next, working iteratively. So the innovation process becomes iterative, especially during execution. Many ideas never get past the original analysis phase, and when this happens, it's called analysis paralysis. Execution is when an organization actually chooses to commit to an idea, and as a result of this commitment, they will hire a leader and a committed team. Successful execution will eventually lead to experimentation, which is the heart of success. However, the research that takes place must be limited to answering only specific questions related to serving the customer. When it comes to decisions, there are 2 types: one-way door decisions and two-way door decisions. One-way door decisions are difficult to return to once they have been made and must be made carefully and with great thought. However, two-way door decisions are decisions that are reversible. They're made quickly by superior groups and high-level individuals, as if it turns out to be a bad move, it can be undone and the decision can be remade. Where do ideas come from? Ideas come from a variety of places, including an expertise and a beginner's mind. Opening a mind influences perspective and helps new ideas emerge. This also prevents any personal bias, assumptions, and limitations from getting in the way. Ideas also come from an irrational optimism and grit. Ideas that are not commonly accepted should not be neglected immediately, and instead, resilience is extremely important, as it helps one make their good idea a reality. Furthermore, being misunderstood is not necessarily a negative. Listening and imaging is also a place where ideas can come from. Ideas come from visualizing a customer's idea before they can do so themselves. And the way that you're able to do this is by actually getting to know your customer. You have to put yourself into their shoes. A great amount of AWS's ideas actually came from listening to their customers. Lastly, ideas can come from history and science fiction. Ideas come from a combination of failure and successes, and history and science fiction are examples of external sources that ideas can be inspired from. Next, what is a PRFAQ? Well, a PRFAQ stands for Press Release and Frequently Asked Questions. What is a press release? A press release is a one-page narrative that describes AWS's vision using customer-centric or specific language. PR, or press release, is used to envision how the customer will eventually react to the product, and it helps sort through the ideas that are given during the innovation process. It also ensures that ideas are worthy of their investment. Next, what are the elements of the PRFAQ? It's a skill that takes practice to master, and it requires a crafting process due to the draft and edit system used. The goal is to share the plan early for feedback from superiors. FAQs are developed to answer questions that a customer may have. So there are two types of FAQs, a customer FAQ and a stakeholder FAQ. So a customer FAQ is when you imagine that you are the customer and you write questions and answers based on what a real customer would ask. Next, a stakeholder FAQ are questions your superiors or partners may ask and your answers to those. It is crucial to identify difficult questions early on when working backward and then incorporate these difficult questions as both customer and stakeholder FAQs. Next, what is a visual? A visual allows one to explore the customer experience. A visual is used to also show how the customers will use the product and how they want to use it. As the project matures, the visual can become more detailed in response to this maturation. Visual presentation is how pictures, images, and diagrams express ideas. Visual presentation also maximizes the effectiveness of a presentation. Here is a video that will be linked below about the working backwards process. And here is an example of a visual as discussed before. Incorporating visuals, as said, can make it easier for the customer or consumer to understand, as well as being more visually appealing. Next, the Amazon leadership principles. So the following principles that we will discuss have been incorporated in Amazon since 2002. It explains how Amazon conducts business, as well as how leaders manage and how decisions are formed for the good of the customer. What are the 17 leadership principles? The following are the 17 leadership principles, and over the course of the next few slides to close out this presentation, we will discuss what these 17 leadership principles are. First, customer obsession as well as ownership. So, customer obsession. Leaders begin with consumers and then they work backwards from that. They work diligently to maintain customer trust, and they focus on customers as well as keeping competition under a close eye. To do this, leaders have to have both humility and empathy. Next, ownership. Leaders are the same as owners. They plan for the future and do not sacrifice the future for any immediate gain. Leaders have to represent the entire company, and therefore they take the initiative to help out. So, to do this, leaders must both have persistence and integrity. A quote from Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder and CEO, is that the number one thing that has made us successful by far is obsessive compulsive focus on the customer. Invent and simplify and write a lot. First, invent and simplify. Workers are required to provide innovation and invention to their work, and therefore, leaders should always work to simplify matters. They should constantly search for new and innovative ideas as well. To do this, leaders must be diligent, flexible, and be okay with being misunderstood. Next, alright, a lot. Leaders have good judgment and intuition, and they look for different perspectives and work to disprove beliefs. To do this, leaders must have humility and optimism. Here is a video discussing all of the AWS leadership principles. As always, it will be linked below. Next, learn and be curious and hire and develop the best. Leaders are never satisfied and will always look to improve themselves. Leaders have to be curious about any new opportunities that may arise. To do this, they need to be able to learn as well as be conscientious or diligent. Leaders also have to hire and develop the best. They acknowledge outstanding work and willingly promote these workers. Leaders also create other leaders and seriously consider the coaching of others as a considerable and important part of their job. The skills required for this are courage and investment. Next, delivering results and insisting on the highest standards. Leaders have to deliver results. They key in on the main suggestions, and despite any problems that may arise, they persevere and never settle. In order to do so, they must have great commitment and be able to deliver. Furthermore, leaders must insist on the highest standards. They have incredibly high standards and have to constantly look for more out of their employees and motivate their team to produce superb products. In order to do so, leaders must be exceptional, and uncompromisable. Next, think big and bias for action. So leaders must encourage broad thinking big. Leaders must encourage this ambition across the working place at all times. In order to do so, they must be innovative and optimistic. Furthermore, bias for action. Speed is a very critical and important part in business, and a calculated risk taker is a valuable skill. Therefore, good leaders must be able to make these risks and take them confidently as well as take them quickly. As stated, speed is very critical. Next, frugality and earning trust. In terms of frugality, leaders must maximize their spending efficiency. Limits that may be imposed will actually lead to resourcefulness and clever thinking to work around these limits. In order to do so, leaders must be creative and adaptable. Next, earn trust. Leaders must listen, speak, and treat others respectfully. They have to recognize that their employees are not perfect. In order to do so, leaders must have trust and honesty. Next, dive deep and have a backbone. Leaders conduct business at all levels and are up to date on all details. They're expected to push through any problem that they may face, as no task is considered beneath them. In order to do so, they must be detail oriented and be able to demystify any problems. Furthermore, have a backbone, disagree and commit. Leaders know when to make tough decisions. They have a strong view and are ruthless whenever they need to be. In order to make these tough decisions, leaders must have conviction as well as cohesion. Next, delivering results and trying to be the best employer possible. Deliver results. This is viewed by employees as a highly important principle for leaders. They have to rise to the occasion. They have to deliver results for certain products. Leaders ultimately take responsibility for ideas that they have created for a product. Leaders have to be the best employer possible. Being a leader means that you have to have the objective of making the work environment for your workers a cooperative and safe place. Employees must be able to share their ideas respectfully with others. And therefore, employers must make sure that their employees are growing, empathized for, empowered, and ready for what's next. And lastly, success and scope bring great responsibility. The size of a company matters. This is because it gives them power over their consumers. Since Amazon is one of the largest companies on planet Earth, it empowers customers, gives power to the commander of the company, and helps the company expand beyond its current size. That is it for the leadership principles, and that is all that we are going to cover today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. As always, the videos will be linked below, and we'll see you next time.